Thanks for tuning in to the Elevation Recovery Podcast, your hub for addiction recovery strategies, hosted by Chris Scott and Matt Finch.
Hello and welcome to episode 334 of Elevation Recovery. This is Matt Finch, your host, and in this episode, you're going to hear about my worst alcohol-induced blackout, which happened on Independence Day of 2005. Here's how it happened. 2005, on July 4th, I was 25 years old. I was blacked out by noon at a beach party, which was located in my hometown of Ocean Beach, which is in San Diego in Southern California. The party had a few dozen attendees, plus several kegs of beer and bottles of liquor. I attended a house party the night before, got hammered, snorted cocaine, which canceled out the alcohol drunkenness, got hammered again, then passed out on my close friend Mark's couch, and being the textbook binge drinker that I was in those days, I woke up around 8 a.m., walked across the street to the liquor store, purchased a six-pack of craft beer, walked back to my buddy's apartment, and started chugging away. The last thing I remember from that day is arriving at the Independence Day beach party totally hammered and straight-lining it directly to the big bottle of Jack Daniel's whiskey in my friend Tony's hand. What happened after that? According to eyewitnesses, my friends Mark, Scott, Tony, Garrett, Bird, and many others, while I was blacked out, I slapped several girls' backsides, and one of those girls had a big badass boyfriend that gave me one warning to stop. Thus, when I slapped his girl's backside a second time, immediately after he warned me not to, he choked me out to unconsciousness in front of pretty much my entire social circle. The next morning, I woke up on my friend Mark's couch with a hangover from hell. I had a mild sunburn, was massively dehydrated. My head was pounding, I had the shakes, and I was suffering from severe low blood sugar from my hypoglycemic condition that binge drinking exacerbated. All of that was awful, but the worst part was the neurotic mind fearing that I had done something shameful while I was blacked out. I often did the worst things of my life while blacked out on alcohol, after all. An hour later, Mark, who had been a good friend and my host for the past 2 nights, eventually woke up. The look on his face when he entered the living room invoked a wicked sense of shame within me. Why? Body language is a bigger part of communication than speech. Communication is 93% nonverbal, and I read his body language cues loud and clear. Still, when he sat me down to catch me up to speed on the recent adventures of Whiskey Finch, my jaw dropped. To make matters worse, I was so sick from binge drinking that there was no way on earth I was going to work that day, so I called in sick. My manager and friend Brittany got pissed because she knew I had been drinking all day and knew I got choked out too. She fired me, and it wasn't my first nor last employment termination brought on by binge drinking behavior. Finally, to make this shame-inducing event truly worthy of feeling shame, I also found out that my friend Tony got pissed at my drunken behavior and punched me in the mouth, which chipped a top front tooth and left me with a souvenir from the shame-inducing event. For the next 12 months after Independence Day 2005, anytime I wanted to consume alcohol, I began to visualize myself running around the beach blacked out drunk and slapping girls' backsides. Then I would visualize a big, jacked guy putting his hands around my neck and lifting me off the ground until I became unconscious, with most of my social circle watching, and half of them laughing at me, while the other half beg him to stop before he kills me. This is what happened. Despite the fact that I was blacked out and don't remember the butt slapping, face punching, tooth chipping, and neck choking, it's amazing how much detail I was able to recreate of the 9-hour blackout from the memory of reaching the party, stories of what happened, and my vivid imagination. The realistic rerun of my poor decisions and their negative consequences was so powerful that I was easily able to remain alcohol-free for 1 year. But a week or two after my 1-year milestone of being alcohol-free, I went on a surfing/camping trip to Mexico with some of my old crew, Mark, Tony, Garrett, and Bird. Big mistake. Another big mistake was purchasing diazepam, which is generic Valium, at the Mexican pharmacy. The first night of the trip, I took 40 milligrams of diazepam in front of the campfire while my friends were getting drunk. The large dose of sedatives, which made me feel drunk, quickly melted away my inhibitions, including my fear of alcohol. And within almost no time, I was rationalizing that I could drink in Mexico and other countries besides the US and stay off alcohol in the States. It sounded like a great idea at the time. But the same day we crossed the border back to San Diego, I was picking up alcohol and meeting up with my buddy Scott to drink Fat Tire down at the beach. And another bender followed. Of course, they always did. Fortunately, these days I don't have to worry about blackout drinking and making poor choices regarding substances. But I wanted to share this story with you because we are wired to learn from story. We evolved around campfires telling stories. And hopefully you got some good tips from this of what not to do. And if anything, I hope it at least was entertaining. Binge drinking is no joke, and I have so much deep empathy for everybody that has a binge drinking or a drinking problem in general. And with all that being said, thank you so much for listening. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.